Ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, friends, enemies and comrades, I hope you're doing well. This is Kenya Revolutionary. Sorry, my mic might be acting up, but as usual, I'm gonna try to fix it. Oh, by the way, I'm just finding out that anyway, that's another issue anyway. Karibuni. This is Kenya Revolutionary. I won't be here for long. I'll probably be here for an hour or so, less or more. But it just depends with how it goes. You know the drill, the routine, the cream. Sorry, that's just that's Biggie's album. But anyway, in Junior Mafia, for those of you who like hip hop. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, friends and comrades, I hope you're doing well. This is Kenya Revolutionary for another day. As you can see, the matter: how can Kenya free herself from colonial tentacles? Now, I just wanted to mention this, go on waffle around this issue, because I think we had, yesterday we had a really good discussion about this, and we had different views. There are those who are arguing that, Kenya does not need the help of the East. And when we're talking about the East, I was just referring to Russia, to be particular, because Russia and the BRIC nations. Okay, now we might, yes, we all have our reservations about China, so we are not going to look at China to kind of try to get out of this economic colonial strangle that we are under the West, okay? Because China is doing the same thing, okay? But I'm just saying Russia in particular. And in my position, I gave the example of the Sahel nation, the kind of deal they have there. My argument was this: as much as we'd like to free ourselves economically, because remember, this whole colonialism, it was all about resources, whether human resources or raw minerals, raw materials, raw whatever the case is. Whatever resources that these colonialists could find in the continent of Africa, that's why they came here. At first, they came and physically trying to restrain us, as far as limiting our movements, limiting how much we could plant, our production, so forth. And while, extracting minerals from our soil and, coming up with their own ways of governing us, okay? Now they found that was an expensive way of doing things, so they decided, hey, listen, this is how we can do it. We can actually have these black faces, black colonial puppets to chaperone the respective countries that we are going to put them, while we still maintain our interest. Our interests are not secure, safe and secure, are guaranteed to us. Put a Ruto there, put a Kenyatta there, whether it was Uhuru's dad, who is Jomo Kenyatta, or Moi, or Kibaki later on, or Uhuru, and now we have William Ruto. Now, some of you might say, why are you saying this? Are you serious? Do you think our country is still under colonialism? Yes, it is. Look at Ruto. Look at all these loans we are taking from the IMF, World Bank. I've been waffling about this in my channel for a long freaking time. And I was so glad that, coffee time. I was so glad that when the Gen Z started this movement, this Gen Z anti-Ruto must go finance bill thing, they made it a point. They wanted to go and protest, and I believe they did. They went and protested in front of the IMF offices in Nairobi to show that they do not want these loans. They don't want the World Bank loans. They don't want the IMF loans, and they're definitely not friendly with Meg Whitman. So they understand that our problems is just more than corrupt leaders. These corrupt leaders are stooges that are put there, selected for us, rigged in to rule, chaperone over us, okay? Pretending to be like our presidents or whatever the case is. So if you have that basic understanding of how colonized we are, then you can start thinking about answers that can really free us, okay? Now, there was different arguments. There were panelists here yesterday who were arguing that, listen, we shouldn't be looking at East or West for help. We should just fight and improve our policies, strengthen our system, strengthen our government, our economy, And once we do that, we can always, buy the guns that we need, buy the nuclear weapons, develop them to protect the resources that we have, which was a fair point, okay? The problem is this. I mean, I was so I was running out of time. It was, it was late at night, but there's several cases that can dispute that, okay, or disabuse that notion. I'll use South Africa for example. South Africa under apartheid government, they were developing. They had nuclear power, which they were actually in the process of developing it into weapons. Okay, they were not there yet, but they did have nuclear power, nuclear energy. Okay, so all these years, well, this apartheid. Thank you so much, Goodyear. Nice seeing you, my people. Nice seeing you. So during apartheid, like I said, this South African government, this apartheid government with de Klerk and all those Afrikaans that were in charge by the time, they did have this uranium. They did have nuclear energy, and they wanted to weaponize it. But as soon as Nelson Mandela came to power after they negotiated that power with, the Wazungus, the first thing that UN and US and all this IAEA, they asked South Africa to get rid of that uranium, get rid of that nuclear energy. They said, no, you cannot go ahead with this. Please dismantle everything. Go back to using just regular other forms of energy, but not nuclear. You cannot go ahead with this. Immediately, once the ANC, which was the black face, let's just get real here, okay? So that's to show you. And from that, even from the 1994, when the apartheid government went down, and ANC took over. Of course, there was concerted effort to, destroy ANC, which has been destroyed to this day through corruption and all those deals, whatever. I'm not going to go through that. But the point is, and I tried to make this point several times yesterday. Gypsy say Nelson Mandela was in Raila Odinga in disguise. Yes, Madiba, he let his people down. Yes, he did. But the point is, every time an African nation wants to gain real independence, you see that the West always have a problem with that. And I try to give the Congo example. Let me go ahead. Karibu sana, White Kenyan. Stand with Ruto. If he goes, Kenya becomes another failed state. Okay, all right. Fair enough. That's your opinion. Glad. Like and share the video, and subscribe. Make sure you subscribe. Okay. Joy Wairimu says, "Hello, family. I hope you are all holding on to God's promises as we keep on this figgy of liberating our nation, Kenya. I believe we should not pay the loans once we overthrow Ruto's regime. Absolutely, those are odious debt. We can okay. I don't believe you're white. I think you're just using that word. If you're white, I'll give you the link and get in, and let me see if you're really white. Do that. I think you're just trolling, but it's fine. It's fine. You can troll. You are allowed to troll here. You can troll. But anyway, so what I was saying is this: any African country that always fights and finds real, true independence economically, every politically, on whatever kali, the West are usually not comfortable with that arrangement, okay? And that's the argument I was trying to make yesterday, but my fellow panelists did not see it that way. They believe that we can actually pull ourselves up by our bootstraps and protect ourselves at the same time. And I agree, we can do that. The problem is that the West, who have invested heavily in their colonies, so to speak, as they see it, they're not going to let you do that. Okay? So my argument is the enemy of my enemy is my friend. We can turn to a country like Russia with the BRICS, who offer a better deal, who are telling you, hey, listen, yes, you got this and this and that. We can help you get on your feet, strengthen your military, have the weapons that will help you protect yourself. Meanwhile, this is what we are going to need from you. But as far as economically, politically, whateverly, you make your policies, you do whatever you want to do. The same thing the Sahel nations are doing. I'll use Ibrahim Traore as a good example. Ibrahim Traore got into power. Once he got into power, yes, he made a deal with the Russians. The Russian told him, hey, listen, we are going to help you fight these Brits, the French, and the Americans. In fact, Victoria Nunen, who have retired now, tried to negotiate with Ibrahim Traore to meet with him so that he can sell them some uranium and oil. Ibrahim Traore refused, saying, no, you Americans have to leave, please. And they told the Americans to close down their military base in Burkina Faso. And they did leave, okay? Ever since then, I think he has survived 16 assassination attempts, coup d'etats. So you can see, and now, actually, since he took over, it's been, 2 years, not even 2 years now, and Burkina Faso is the fastest growing economy in the world. You know, he's turned over everything. So my point is, the West will not let you, develop your own country because they will be losing their investments. Remember, 1895, when the Europeans met in that Berlin conference and decided to, divvy up Africa. British took the East African part of it. Germans took Namibia and so forth, so forth. You know the story, okay? So those guys have been invested heavily in East Africa. So you trying to fight, you trying to be independent by yourself, they will definitely try to sabotage your progress. And you're not strong enough to fight against them. And I gave the example of the former CIA guy who wrote the book and explained how they've exploited and they've destroyed economies in favor of these multinational corporations, okay? That destroy economies and make countries in sub-Saharan Africa and South America poor, deliberately make them poor, as long as these corporations make humongous profits. And actually, he even said it. There's a point in time where he would literally write the policy for a country. He used Guatemala, Honduras. What's that country from where General Pinochet was the coup d'etat that happened there? He explains how they do this. So that was what I was explaining. I was trying to tell them, yes, the Gen Z are in the first step of liberating the Kenya, okay? Which is a good thing. But as soon as we liberate Kenya and we remove Ruto and we put our own person who is accountable to us, the Kenyan people, through the document called the Constitution, we should also be wary, also be cognizant of the fact that these Western powers shall not be sitting, aside with their arms folded, watching us liberate ourselves and become rich, because we are richer than them. And if you are richer than them, if you become richer than them and more powerful than them, then guess what? They'll lose their power. And that's what they do not want. So that's the argument I was making. But, we had a good discussion. I wish that one would have continued. But I will bring those panelists again probably tomorrow or later today. I don't know. But that's how it was. That's how the discussion was. But anyway, let's get to today, which ties it today. How can Kenya free herself from colonial tentacles? How can we free ourselves, really? I mentioned yesterday, and I questioned, why did Ambassador Meg Whitman meet with Hassan Joho? Hassan Joho is a mere CS, cabinet secretary. Why is the U.S. ambassador to Kenya meeting a cabinet secretary? Number two, IMF just met Mbadi, IMF representative. It didn't take them a day or, immediately they went and met Mbadi. Why is this? Why are they meeting the CSS of people, of the country? Why? Because they want to make sure that these new CSs maintain the same arrangement they had with the previous regime. Do not change the program. The program is the same. That's basically what they're going to tell them. Do not change it. Do so at your own peril. Okay? So that's what I'm trying to explain. But anyway, before we dig deeper into that, ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, friends, and comrades, please take your time. If this is your first time here, please like, share, comment, and subscribe to the channel. I want to mention something. There's something, I saw a video of Raila Odinga, and he seems like Raila Odinga doesn't look well, in my opinion. Let's look at this video real quick. Let's take a look at this video really quick. I was a little bit concerned. Not really, but I was. Seems like Raila is not, he doesn't look all the way, ni kama alishikwa na ile ugonjwa wa Joe Biden. Remember? Let me show you real quick if I can load this page. It's still loading. Crap. Here it is. Like as we go on. Let me run to my page real quick and show you what I mean. All right. Karibu sana, ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters. Right here. Take a look at this. Take a look at this video. Take a look at this video. There's this gentleman right here. This gentleman right here. He actually had to move Raila's hand to greet this guy here. Then you'll see this guy here will literally hold his hand, and he also will hold Raila's hand. Raila looks like he's not well. Take a good look at it again. I don't know if he was drunk or he's just like cannot, because he basically looked like he doesn't have a steady gait. He's losing balance. He has to hold on to the two gentlemen on the right and left. And this guy on the right had to actually move Raila's arm to greet the guy that was in front of him. Take a look at this one more time. Look at Raila's face. Look. Look. Ladies and gentlemen, is Raila okay? I don't know. I know Raila, I heard he drinks, but I don't know if he was drunk or he's not feeling well. That's the thing, though, because I get it. He's 80 years old. There's a bunch of 80-year-old men who kind of have it together. I get it. I get it. I'm not disputing what you're saying, must watch. I'm just saying that this is not how he usually walks or looks. It just looks odd a little. I've never seen him like this, even at his age. I'm just reading your. He said the guy is almost 80 years old. He's functioning on autopilot. He says, "Oh yeah, he's functioning on autopilot." Wow. Okay. One more time, ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters. I just take a look at this one more time. The thing that he looks confused, he looks like he's out of balance. He just doesn't look well. So that's why I'm asking. I don't know if he was drunk, because I understand that Raila, you know, he anaonja kidogo mara moja mara mbili, or ameshikwa na ile ugonjwa wa Joe Biden, Alzheimer's or something, because that does not look good. It does not look good, ladies and gentlemen. I am genuinely worried about Raila Odinga. So pray for him, ladies and gentlemen. I think, you know, that video alone, AUC, whoever is responsible for the whole AUC thing, please, I hope they see that, because that's not a man who looks well. He's not doing something. Anyway, in other news, let me see also what's happening out there. Ruto was in Eldoret. As you guys know, there's going to be another Maandamano on the 27th of this month. It's going to be countrywide. The posters are out. So Ruto was in Eldoret, spitting fire, thumping his chest, letting everybody know that, hey, listen, do not let these kids come out here and burn things down. We're not having it. Of course, he was in his home turf, so he was talking tough, of course. But that's what he was saying. Let's just take a look at, listen a little bit of what he was saying. Just a bit.
Eldoret, nilisikia kulikuwa na fujo hapa. Mutakalia hii city. Mutaishi hapa ndani ya city. Mutachunga city ya Eldoret. Hii Eldoret, nilisikia ati kulikuwa na fujo hapa. Ati kuna watu wanataka kuchoma hii Eldoret. Hawa watu wa kuchoma hii city washindwe kabisa. Ama mnasemaje watu wa Eldoret? Mnataka hii town ichomeke? Ile kitu moja mimi nawaomba. Mimi nawaomba tuchunge hii city. Sawa sawa? Hii city isifanyiwe fujo. Isiletewe vita. Mali isichomeke katika hii town. Watu wa Eldoret, mnanipatia hakikisho kwamba hakuna mtu atachoma hii town yetu? Hebu nione wana wanasema ati mnanipatia hakikisho. Mutakalia hii city. Mutaishi hapa ndani ya city.
Okay. So he's, you know, telling the people to look out. Don't let no one come out this city and tell you nothing. Basically, he's saying, you know, he was referring to the Gen Zs without actually mentioning them. Because there is March 27, you saw that. The poster is out, dissolve the parliament on the 27th, Tuesday. Are you guys seeing the poster? Let me just make it huge. Right there. Can you see the dissolution of parliament? It is official. Maandamano is back, ladies and gentlemen. Maandamano. We want to see how this Maandamano will go. So here it is. I will read it very quickly. The poster says the dissolution of parliament. How? The Constitution of Kenya 2010 anticipates that the Chief Justice can advise the President to dissolve the parliament under Article 261. When and if parliament fails to enact a legislation that is expected to operationalize the Constitution after the transmission of an order to do the same by the High Court. Why? Several Kenyans and institutions went to court in 2019 to petition the High Court and the Chief Justice for the dissolution of Parliament for failing to enact the law to give effect to the more than two-thirds gender principle under Article 27.8 and Article 100 of the 2010. Chief Justice Maraga advised the president to dissolve the parliament in 2020. The 13th parliament, therefore, stands dissolved because it has not enacted the legislation as required. Given that the parliament, like stated by CJ Maraga, his advisory is a living institution and is therefore bound as an institution as opposed to a term or session of parliament. What? A National Assembly and the Senate filed a notice to appeal the decision to dissolve the parliament in 2020. They did not file an appeal. The time for appeal lapsed. So the advice to dissolve parliament is to alive and this current parliament stands dissolved. Who? The person in between Kenyans and the dissolution of parliament is the Chief Justice Martha Koome, who needs to appoint a 5-judge bench to write the judgment on how the dissolution takes place on 8/8/2024. 4 Kenyans, 3 political parties, and 4 civil society organizations petitions the Chief Justice to constitute this 5-judge bench to dissolve parliament. Kenyans must now apply pressure on her, up to including demonstration and picketing at the Supreme Court, because justice delay is justice denied. When the dissolution of parliament is long overdue, should have happened in 2020. It is 4 years down the line. It must be done now without any further delay. #dissolve parliament. So basically, this goes back to when Maraga advised Uhuru Kenyatta to dissolve the parliament back in 2020, I believe, because Uhuru Kenyatta, because the parliament, the legislative body, did not meet the requirement of the the gender rule stuff. Okay, they did not enact that. So by doing so, that it gives grounds for the parliament to be dissolved. You know, they did not even appeal when this happened, because remember, Maraga wrote to the then president Uhuru Kenyatta to dissolve the parliament, and Uhuru knew that dissolving of the parliament basically means everyone has to go back to elections. Okay, kila mtu anatoka. Everyone is, if he was to go through with that, including him, even the president will have to go back to Debe. He will cease to be president once he does that, and people will prepare for the next election. So the letter basically argues that that ruling still stands. Just because Maraga is out of office does not mean that ruling is still, that thing is still alive. The president, okay? Remember, the presidency is an institution by itself. So if there's an order written by the judiciary and it's supposed to be enacted, it's still active. So whoever occupies the presidency, that institution, whoever heads it, has to adhere to what Maraga actually ruled. Just for example, the case of Miguna. Remember, the case was ruled under the previous regime. Okay, they told that regime to make sure to bring back Miguna to facilitate his whatever, he's coming back to Kenya. All right, but Uhuru Kenyatta, being the head of the state at that time, refused to, to adhere to the court orders. So he had to take Ruto, who came in after Uhuru left, who, obeyed those court orders by facilitating the return of Miguna. So what I'm trying to say is this: just because Maraga made that judgment to the for the president to dissolve the parliament, and the president failed to do so, that does not mean that advice is not valid anymore because time lapsed. No, it's still valid, is still alive. So the argument is, regardless of whether the president is there or Maraga is no longer there or whatever, that has to take place, which means, and dissolving the parliament means everyone goes home, including the president, and we have a fresh elections. I doubt if the president will do this, but we'll wait to see. So that's the whole point why there shall be protestations on the 27th, this coming Tuesday. Speaking of protestations at Gen Z, the face of Gen Z was out there in one of these TV shows, and he was kind of sparking a lot of fireworks with the guests that were there. Let's just look at it. Mr. Casmuel. Okay, Casmuel was out there arguing with some folks, which I found it funny. Let's watch a little bit. I wanted to see this a little. All right,
you cannot compare me to your children because you have been involved with men who have corrupted this country. If you want us to go personal, I will go personal. Yes, don't do it.
Mheshimiwa Kitani, yes, can you proceed? It's you with Tentacles. No. Let's have some order here.
They needed to have known when to exit the stage.
You said you have a Gen Z.
I have a Gen Z, but does not behave like this. He's much better. He's much better. They may not support.
Also, you cannot.
I said.
I will allow.
Caswell,
one thing that
I have been asked a question.
One thing
I have been asked a question. No.
It will.
Let's have some order.
Please. Caswell,
there's a statement you said that I will correct.
No, don't correct.
There is a statement
you will correct at your time. You will correct at your time.
I'll be getting back to you.
No.
If they switch off my mic, I will speak into Mheshimiwa's time. There's something you've said. You've said that you have a Gen Z that is better than me.
Yes, far better.
You cannot compare me to your children because you have been involved with men who have corrupted this country. If you want us to go personal, I will go personal. Yes, don't do it.
Mheshimiwa Kitani,
yes,
can you proceed? It's you with Tentacles. No. Let's have some order here.
And what I would want to say, and I requested, yes.
Mheshimiwa Kitani,
I'm requesting.
I'll be getting.
This is a point of order. When we raise a point of order in any discussion, you listen. This is not correct.
Kennedy, let's allow.
Engage with me, please.
Kennedy, engage with me. Let's have some order.
But please,
no.
Kennedy,
but please,
Joanne, have their mics off.
I don't even know.
Mheshimiwa Kitani, proceed.
You don't think we are a generation.
And I have requested, Chacha, please, let's have order in this discussion. We were talking to Kenyans, and we need Kenyans to listen to all of us. Let Kenyans judge who is the right person, who is the wrong person. Yeah. But let's not disrupt. When everybody else is speaking, I am not disrupting them. So please allow me also to pass my points. Let my points be heard out there and let them be said. I said
you have a Gen Z that's better than me.
Can you proceed? Their mics are off.
I will not wait.
Mheshimiwa Kitani,
so
proceed. Their mics are off.
My issue is we need to know when to exit the stage. And the Gen Zs needed to have known when to exit the stage. The issues the Gen Zs raised were very relevant issues. The issues they raised were 1, about corruption, 2, about governance, 3, about wastage in this government. And it is not only this government, every successive government has had. Actually, the Gen Zs did. The people who are on the streets now are not Gen Zs. These are people, political people who are trying to use a few young.
Perhaps what they're questioning is
let me talk. You are the same as the Gen Zs because you don't want to listen and you don't want to allow concepts. You see, and you see, I will not be interfered with simply because noise is emerging from even you or even him. Simply because this is the noise you people allowed on your platforms, and people got misinformed even about the finance bill, which is actually confirmed to be, even by those who are opposing it, to be right.
Kennedy,
I am going to execute my point as follows.
The courts declared that to be
Tell that to the courts.
I'm telling
where
you,
are the courts now? Chacha, what I am saying, and I'm Chacha, you see, I told not everyone. I am telling you, the media has been misused by these people who are looking for Facebook and WhatsApp following. I told one day I told Eric Omondi, and I can repeat here authoritatively that I am repeating. This is a national television, and I told Eric on national television that they cannot use this country's emotions to whip their support or following on YouTube.
That is what the politicians
Like
have
what
been
they
doing.
do,
What you
because
are doing for
they're busy looking for people who can follow them, like their chats and everything.
No,
We
we are
cannot
looking
run
for
a
better
country like that.
governance,
I
accountability,
am
and lack
saying,
of corruption.
if you talk
Don't
about
come here to defend
accountability,
a government that does not give us
national
results.
accountability can be done through two avenues. One, Parliament.
Yes.
Two, Auditor General. Those are the two areas which are constitutionally allowed. And if such people have made their pronunciations, then the court comes and interprets the legal nature of such pronouncements. Therefore, we cannot have a country where we are going to be told by children who have no even experience of what should be done, because this constitution. Okay, what is your age? How old are you? How old are you? It's not being emotional.
This is not a dating
How old
app,
are
as I
you?
told you. This is not a dating
Don't,
site.
you see,
Don't ask how
that is
old I
even
am.
being careless in
Don't
how
ask
you
if
put your
Yes, if you're careless, I'll be careless.
The
because this
media,
is no longer children
must
deal with
also
Kitambo.
check the content you disperse. You cannot keep inviting people who can keep talking things which are not even constitutional, which are not even moderated, which are not even organized. It's like what they do on their YouTube channels. This is what I'm saying, Chacha, and I will be allowed to speak, because these misconceptions are the ones which have been sent to everyone by people like Biguna who sit somewhere outside the country, don't even have a stake in the country, and then they sit behind keyboards. They are busy talking and writing things which they can't even substantiate.
Well,
the country must be run. Chacha. Now, whether the Gen Zs, what next? Just a minute, don't cut me on this. Whether the Gen Zs.
When he sees a young person, he wants to offload. Just offload. No, let him offload. No, let him offload.
He started
Chacha, please, don't interrupt him.
I told you, if it's about this kind of trouble, I'm the best at it. You know, when he came here, that he can do it.
Go for it.
You wait and do the nonsense on your YouTube.
No, don't switch off. Don't switch off. Don't switch off. Don't switch off his mic. No. Don't switch off his mic. The man needs, there's something he needs to let out. No, let it out. Let it out. Let it out.
Passing cloud.
No, it's not.
What did I just watch? Anyway, Casmuel had good points, but they all lost the plot, or rather lost their heads. I wish you could have just let them finish, then rebut. Again, there's a common theme, especially the gentleman that was talking in the last part of that clip. I've seen him different platform. But anyway, there's a general theme, ongoing theme, let me just say that, especially among those who do not like this Gen Z movement. They kind of play this age card. Oh, you know, we are older than you. You don't have much experience. Excuse me. Oh, you have not experienced anything. You don't know anything about that. How old are you? Well, you see, like you say, they try to big boy you. Big dog. Like they're talking down on you. That's I've seen that in a lot of platforms. Even there's one debate I saw with Professor. What's this professor that has a channel? I forgot his name. Crap. Anyway, when he was losing the argument, he started this whole thing that, you know, I'm older than you. I'm older than your parents. I've seen it all. But yeah, other than that, it was just chaotic. Casmuel he's a good debater, but you could have just let them speak, then, you know, rebut without making the noise. It just became chaotic, especially the part that really went viral, I guess, is when that lady was saying, yes, I also have Gen Zs, but they don't behave like this way. It was referring to Casmuel, and that kind of hit a raw nerve. And that's when Casmuel started saying, you know, you've been having children with corrupts. Corrupts, man. That's when I was like, all right, okay. This is out of hand. Ben, I should have been there the Bernard from SCT. Order. There was no order there. So, but anyway, it made a good entertainment. Unfortunately, the viewers were going to be wrapped up in the drama and missed the message. You know, we missed their actual arguments for or against the motion, whatever they were talking about. So that was a little entertainment from the Gen Z representative, or the face of Gen Z, Mr. Casmuel Makore, whatever his name is, which is interesting. Yeah. But other than that, let me see. There's something else. I want to show you something, ladies and gentlemen, as we talk about the IMF. Gypsy, order. Ay. There's something else. Here it is. This has something to do with how our president is.
Biden here in the United States. So let me just get this straight. So a couple of weeks ago, we have Kamala Harris shaking hands with President Ruto of Kenya. Then you have the state dinner with Biden here in the United States. Then that president goes back to Kenya, creates legislation to tax the Kenyan people up to 36%. It's up to a 36% increase in order for them to pay the IMF. And a part of that legislation is also saying that they could appropriate land. They could take land from the Kenyan people as pretty much like a payment to the IMF. Like, that's embarrassing. Because, and on top of that, there was actual congressional leaders from the United States that were there while this was being passed. And now there's riots and multiple people have died. Dozens of people have been harmed and hurt, tear gassed, all for a recolonization project that the United States just facilitated and had President Ruto, who is a sellout to his people, carry out. They must know they're going to lose in November, because do y'all know social media exists? Oh yeah, y'all know, because y'all wanted to be banned.
Okay, so you see how this is tied in the whole IMF World Bank nonsense. That's why this whole idea of odious debt is very, very, very extremely important. We must audit our debts. And those who have wale watu waliiba pesa, they have to pay that. They have to pay. I mean, it's in our constitution, Article 226(5), as I usually say, any public official in the past or present who have misappropriated public funds is liable to pay that, not the taxpayers. It should be done. Another news talking about that. So you see what I was talking about. This is the argument I was making yesterday with my good friends, wonderful panelists. It was really good discussion. You know, you can't fight this fight alone. Yes, the fight has to be initiated by the people. I get that. I agree. We have to fight. That is something that we have no option. These debts that we have, that Jimmy Wanjigi has been telling us about, we have to audit it and see what we really owe. Okay? And for those of people who stole a lot of billions, they should pay that back, or pay it to the Chinese banks, or wherever they walitoa huko. Pale walikopa waenda wairudishe huko. Because now you see what the lady was talking about. The IMF and World Bank comes to you and say, hey, listen, here are the terms, whatever, sign here. You sign, and those loans, you pay them for the next 30 years. And these are loans that they know you're not going to be able to pay with terrible interest rates, high interest rates. Okay? And once your economy is being destroyed and they know that you can't pay it, they come back and say, oh, you can't pay it? All right, this is what we're going to do. We are going to take your airport. We are going to take land. And we'll tell you what land we want. We are going to take over your healthcare. This is all in the book that I was telling them. This is what I was trying to tell my panelists. And yes, if you refuse to do so, they will try to take you out of the power through assassination or coup d'etat, popular revolution that they'll fund. And if that fails, they'll literally use the military to remove you. And that's why I was arguing this is a multi-layered problem that we are facing. And what gives me joy in my heart is when I was in this Twitter sphere, and even when I watched these Gen Zs on the streets, they understood that these loans that Ruto and Uhuru and Kibaki were borrowing, whether from the Chinese or from World Bank or IMF or whatever the case is, these were loans that were being misused. Not only that, they were being borrowed without our consent. And not only that, we don't know how it was used. And they're expecting us to pay for them. We cannot do that. I just read. Let me just read this. Chief Negus. Again, this is what I'm talking about. It's a multi-layered problem. It's not as simple as just Ruto. Yes, Ruto is the problem because he is at the helm right now. Yes. Yes, the legislative body is the problem because they are passing these laws that we do not approve of. We do not want. We are not even being part of the discussion. So yes, I agree. We are in the right direction. Like I said, I am so happy that these Gen Zs, even when they were in the streets, they understood the root cause of the problem is not just these leaders. And I've said it before here. That's why I disagreed with my friends yesterday. I was saying, you cannot just stop and think that if you change and put a new face over there, we shall be liberated. Our institutions will be strengthened. We'll all of a sudden have nice policies. Even if we put Okiya Omtatah there tomorrow, I'm not saying Okiya Omtatah will be corrupt. I'm just saying if Okiya Omtatah is the president of Kenya, guess what? They will target him. He will be assassinated. Did I not even assassinated? How many road accident has Okiya Omtatah survived? No. Seriously, think about it. If you're going to listen to this on a repeat, or you're still in the comment section, ask yourself, how many road accidents have Okiya Omtatah survived so far? And you think these were normal road accidents that Okiya Omtatah survived? You go check it out. Remember when he was physically assaulted? When he went to file against the finance bill? He's the only one of the few leaders I've seen in Kenya who has spoken boldly and publicly about IMF and World Bank. And we've seen how many road accidents that he has survived. Is it a coincidence? Kwa nini Ruto apatangi road accident? It's just people like Okiya Omtatah. You see what I'm saying? So you have to understand the nature of the kind of problem we have, how deep it runs. So as we take off these people, yes, putting Okiomtata is a good step, but we shall need more than that. We shall need to stay vigilant. Okay? But we're in the right direction. Tutoe hii ghasia iko hapa, from the parliamentarians to the executive, and then clean out the judiciary too. Once we get a new system, new executive branch, new legislative branch, then we shall have a proper surgery, clean up, draining of the swamp. Yeah, that's why they do. Exactly. If you're a stand-up, honest guy, patriotic guy, and you're in a position of power, they will try to get rid of you. Hassan Joho, he was... We know the history of Hassan Joho. We know the history of Hassan Joho. Oparanya. See what I'm saying? But these are the people who are going to thrive, and you'll see them on TikTok. New cars, private jets, all that stuff. I've explained to you, I've shown. Look at this news article. Look at this news article here very shortly. Watu wanaiba pesa, and you're not going to see that money back, and they expect you to pay it back. It was on the news. Daily Nation, I think. Take a look at this. I'm not kidding. Look at that. Read that. Equity, Cyprian Nakundi wrote, Equity ni benki bandia, where James Mwangi has become a dollar billionaire through domestic odious debt lending. The headlines is, inside a 1.5 billion Equity Bank haste. Go read the story. Mwende mkasome your story. Nasikia. Go read that story and understand it. Go read it. Absolutely. David D knows the truth. He's just enjoying his salary kwa nini. You know, David D ni wale watu wako na do, they don't care. He's anaenjoy pesa ya Ruto anamlipa. He'll say that. He even says it. Yes. And I was making the point yesterday. This it's so funny that we were having this discussion yesterday. Ibrahim Traore rejected loans from IMF. Amesema hataki aid. He doesn't want any aid from the French, from the US, from IMF, World Bank, none of it. He said they are going to find their own thing using the revenue that they collect from the people, from the taxes. Hakuna mambo ya mkopo. Mkopo ni local. Hawataki. There's a song, there's a book by Dambisa Moyo. She worked with Goldman Sachs she wrote it back 10, 12 years ago. She's a Zambian economist. And she actually was an economic advisor to this Rwandese president, Kagame. And she made the case. I think the name of her book is called Dead Aid or something. Dead Aid. She talks about the whole thing. She say the aid does not help Africa. We need to get out of it. This World Bank aid, it's not helping. They're designed to actually fail your economy because the terms of agreement, when you take those loans, are not favorable, are designed to actually destroy your economy and usurp your sovereign authority as a nation. She's not the only one who has spoken about that. And this is somebody who worked with Goldman Sachs. He knows the ins and outs of... She was involved in that stuff. Worked with the Zambian government. Worked with Kagame work with Museveni. So yeah, that's what I'm telling you guys. We are in the right step. We have to call for accountability. We have to get rid of Ruto and his whole cabinet, the whole presidency, executive branch of power. We have to get rid of the whole legislative body. And then once we get new executive, new legislative body, we have to clean up the judiciary. It has to be done. Otherwise, tutacheza na hii mchezo wa Raila, Gachagua, Ruto, Uhuru, Karua, sijui nini, mara impeachment, mara sijui, you know, this is just nonsense. Mara sijui UDA wanapigania secretary, who is the new secretary general, sijui Kioni, sijui nini, ni upuzi mtupu. Mara Raila sijui alipata call from Uhuru, mara Raila sijui alipata sijui nini. Ai, muna korogwa tu. I like that I like there's a ninio there's a speech by Nani Kalwale when he was saying about siasa ya Kenya, and he was telling his people like, tulipelekwa tukaambiwa mara sijui tialala sijui tibim tabam tibim tukazungushwa. Kalalo is funny though. He's part of the problem, but he's funny. Yeah. Chief Negus, correct. I haven't read Dambisa Moyo. That's her name. Dambisa Moyo. I think it's called Dead Aid or it's yeah. She wrote it like 12, 16 years ago, something like that. Okay. I haven't read Dambisa Moyo. That's her name. Dambisa Moyo, M-O-Y-O. That's her last name. Book, but I'm aware of it. Confessions of an Economic Hitman, though. Also, Lords of Poverty by John Graham. I haven't read that. But yeah. Salim Whitgrass and I say, bro, Kenya is a poor country. It's just that reality has hit Kenyans. Gaddafi had a solution for Africa. African countries need to unite first and remove poverty and corruption. Absolutely. Yes. Well, yesterday I mentioned Gaddafi and some people thought he was funny. Gaddafi was yes, Gaddafi was actually, he was pro-Arab, but the Arab people rejected him. So he turned to Africa and he was like, you know what? We Africans, we can actually have we have a lot to renew. These Western countries come and extract our minerals and all this. Let's unite. Let's strengthen our economy. Let's have cooperation. Let's have our own currency. Amkuskia. Hillary Clinton and Barack Obama took him down. And they Libya was a heaven. They would, if you were married in Libya, they would front you money and have your government kupatia nyumba. Like they were rich. Now it's terrorist infested place. But some people will still argue, oh, I mean, listen, Gaddafi was not a good man. Don't get me twisted. But at the end, towards the end of his life, he kind of saw the light. He saw the true need of Pan-Africanism, okay? Because the Arabs rejected him. I know most people in North Africa, they kind of associate themselves with Arabs. You know, they don't see themselves as Africa. But Aliona, you know, the need for Africa to, you know. And yes, he did have influence in politics in other parts of country. Alikuwa anapatiana campaign to politicians in different countries, okay? Chief Negus, Lords of Poverty talks about the whole NGO system. Yes, I've been struggling talking about NGO. There's a book that I'm struggling to finish. It's called oh crap. I'm looking at it right now. I can't. But anyway, it touches on how the NGOs are tied into World Bank and all that stuff, and how they, you know, it's corporations really becoming more powerful than sovereign nations. Okay, corporate coup d'etat, if you want to call it that, whatever the case is. But yeah, But anyway, the whole NGO system is set up to siphon resources from the continent and install perpetual dependency by Africans on the West. Yes, absolutely. Abso-freaking-lutely. Yes. Gypsy Corner, guess what? Kenyans being used again with WHO, World Health. Yes, they did film about Mpox pandemic in Africa with the face of poor Kenyans asking the Western to chip in money, but stay away from East Africa. How shallow? Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. True, Gaddafi had his flaws, but his citizens experienced the highest standard of living on the continent while he was alive. Yes, he did. He did. I'm not saying Gaddafi was an angel, but yeah, towards the end of his life, he saw the light. He saw the light. And Libya was it was a rich country. On a surplus. They didn't have deficits. They paid all their debts. They were in surplus. I don't know how many trillions in them. The gold that was found in Libya to this day, we don't know who took it. Of course, the people who invaded it took it. But these are the things that you say. You have to control. If you want a strong economy, number one, for an African nation, for Africa to be a superpower, okay? Even the richest country in Africa, which is what? South Africa, Nigeria, biggest economies. Let me just say the biggest economy. Look at them. In order to do that, you have to be. Look at China. China, while they started building up, once they realized this, what's the first thing that they started doing? Once they started developing. Godia order, Godia, order. Right, Salim Wheatgrass. But it's Gypsy. Tulia, please. Don't. Please. I got you. Order. I'm guilty as charged. Gypsy, I'll get you. I got you. What was I saying? That was so funny. But anyway, like I was saying, when China was rising up from being a poor country up there in Asia, they realized, they knew that as soon as they start becoming powerful, the West will try to neo. You can remember when they had their opium problem in the 20th century or whatever, which was brought in by the West, the British, okay? But I'm just saying this. Once they realized they started growing economically, they realized they had to strengthen their military. Unasikia? They knew they had to strengthen their military because there shall be external forces who are going to try to sabotage, stop their development, their economic industrialization, or whatever the case you want to call it. Okay? So that is what I was talking about. That's why China, once they started, they knew that they were emerging as a world economic powerhouse. They strengthened their military. And since they didn't want to be aligned with the West, they were more aligned with war. Russia next door. Okay? That's what I was talking about. Same thing with Iran. They know they are in trouble. Their neighbors is not so friendly. So what did they do? That's why they have this BRICS thing. Because the BRICS was started because they understood that the West were dominating. Okay? The West want to impose their will to the rest of the world. Okay, so they were like, no, we are going to, from Brazil to Russia to India, China, and South Africa. While they're also struggling too, like as far as they're trying to their thing. That's why they're coming up with their own currency that will be backed by gold. That's another topic for another day, the gold standard. Okay? So yeah, that's another thing. It has definitely changed for the worst. Egypt, yes. Ask yourself, every time there's this NATO, US, they invade a country, all of a sudden after they invade it, it turns out to be a haven for terrorists and all the atrocities that comes with it. Look at Iraq, Afghanistan, Libya. You can go on. They almost turned Syria to that. Some parts of Syria still like that, okay? Right, so actually both. Sisi is corrupt, but Libya after Gaddafi. Yeah? The whole problem with... Listen, corruption can be dealt with overnight. I'm telling you, corruption can be dealt with overnight. If we have people in places, Weke Rais Sapo, and the cabinet ministers, and these independent bodies like DPP, EACC, whatever, and the proper legislative body. Now waeke law. Ukipatwa umeiba pesa ya serikali unanyongwa. I'm telling you, a year from now, Kenya itakuwa superpower. Si wadanganyi. It's not rocket science. Lakini Kenya watu wanafanya ujinga, unasikia sijui nani ameshikwa, sijui anapelekwa, mara unasikia EACC sijui iko na evidence, ikifika kotini there's no enough evidence. Sonko anaenda ninio, there's no enough evidence. Huyu nani Joho, there's no enough evidence. Yule governor wa Nairobi alikuwa anaitwa nani? The one who was before Sonko. There's no enough evidence. There's no enough evidence. Kimwarere sijui nini, no enough evidence. Kemsa, no enough. Hakuna evidence. Evidence iko wapi? Where is the evidence? If you want to read about judicial corruption, follow Abdel Nasir, who ironically is corrupt and made his billions by corruption. I mean, that's how corrupt we are. If a corrupt person is telling you how the system is corrupt, just imagine how the level of corruption we have. Okay? So, yeah. So that's what. Anyway, the US abandoned the gold standard in 1971 with Richard Nixon. Yes, they did. Yes, they did. They did. They did. They did. They did. And they've been playing games ever since. They've been protecting the dollar by using their tanks and F-15s and F-17s and all that crap. Ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, friends, enemies and comrades, it's been an hour. I want to thank each and every one of you. I will leave it here. I'll do another live maybe tonight or maybe tomorrow. But I want to thank everyone. Everyone, Guri is saying, you can never cure corruption in Kenya. You just have to blend in politely. No. Order. You can. You just need people who are really, really up to care about the law. Okay? But Gypsy Corner, thank you so much. WS Banker, thank you. As usual, Chief Niggas, please email me. Let me know it's you. Salim Witzgrass, thank you so much for joining. Who else am I missing? Joy Wairimu, thank you for joining too. White Kenyan, ulingia hapa na balaa wewe. I know you're not white, but you're just trolling. But thank you for joining and watching. Ladies and gentlemen, if you're going to watch this on repeat, do not forget the first order of business is to do what? Like the video. And if you haven't subscribe and share this and like and tell more people about this channel. And I'm always here every day. And I'll put a link if you want to join in and have a discussion. I always do that. Anyway, thank you so much. I'll see you guys later. Be safe. Peace and blessings.